The Lux Series LED projector headlights from Alforex that we have here today will be a premium option for all 2019 and newer halogen-equipped Ram 2500 owners looking for a very powerful upgrade loaded with a ton of extra features. Now, these DOT-approved Lux Series headlights here will combine the LED-loaded projectors along with the LED daytime running lights and sequential turn signals, all for right around that $1,100 to $1,200 price point. All right, guys, let's get into our list of features here, and bear with me because there is a lot to talk about. Now, first up, these lights are going to convert your HD's factory halogen headlights to a much more modern and much brighter LED projector. Now, the innermost here is going to handle your low beams, while your outer projector is going to handle your high beams. And overall, they'll produce not only a much better output in nighttime visibility, but a much cooler look and a really sharp cutoff. Now, compare these to your halogen, and honestly, there's no comparison here, guys. You'll be totally blown away by the improvement in nighttime visibility. Now, the LED projectors are really only one part of the equation here with the Alforex headlights. Immediately above and below those projectors will be your LED daytime running lights in this horizontal C shape. Now, as the name implies, these LEDs will illuminate with a bright white running light whenever your vehicle is switched on or whenever the headlights have been switched on as well. And I think they do help contribute to a more modern and more higher end look. Now, I do want to point out that while Alforex doesn't really disclose the color temperature on their LED lighting, it does appear that both the headlights and the running lights share the same color temp, which does make for a very consistent and very quality look. Next up on our list of features here will be the sequential turn signals built into the daytime running lights that will illuminate thanks to the included amber LEDs. Now, in addition to the sequential turn signals, they're also going to include one of my personal favorite things here, and that is Alforex's unique startup feature. And that is going to basically give you a nice little dazzling light show anytime you lock or unlock your truck, and really just flashes with a combination of the running lights and turn signals in a very cool pattern. Now, this is one of the unique things about the Alforex lights. Not a lot of companies offer a unique startup feature, and it is something that adds to these particular options. Well, with our features wrapped up, let's get into some of our construction and build quality. All very solid here, as you might imagine. All of that LED lighting is loaded into a very nice alpha black housing here, guys. So you're getting that really sharp, really aggressive blacked out look. Polypropylene is going to be your material for the housing, and then those housings are topped off with a polycarbonate lens. Now, that lens itself actually has an anti-fog and UV agent baked in to protect these things from fogging up or hazing up on you over the years. Last but not least, these headlights have been given both the DOT and SAE stamp of approval. Does make them legal for use in all 50 states, and they are also backed by a 2-year limited warranty in case you run into any issues. Moving into price point, and the Alforex Lux Series are going to be one of your nicer options in the category for your HD at home, coming in around that $1,100 to $1,200 price point. Certainly not for the faint of heart, but I think once you factor in all of your features, the warranty, the build quality, it does make these a very appealing option, along with some of your other higher end headlights in the category, whether it be from Morimoto or even Alforex, who also offers a line above the Lux Series, if you can believe it. But very nice stuff overall. Certainly will make a very dramatic impact in both styling and functionality to your Ram at home. All right, now we want to shift gears and talk about the install. And one of the nice things about going with a high quality headlight such as the Alforex is that they make the install a little bit easier on you thanks to the plug and play design of the headlights. Sometimes when you go with a more budget-friendly version and you're swapping from a halogen to an LED, along with daytime running lights, there might be some added wiring involved. Not the case here. Very straightforward stuff. Again, plug and play. Site's gonna stick with a strong 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and call this one, I would say, at least 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer depending on how fast you like to work. And now to give you a better idea of how this one might go down on your truck at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
For this install, you will need a flashlight, various impacts, various size ratchets, various length extensions, 1/4 inch to 3/8 adapter if necessary, a swivel adapter, a Phillips head bit, a T15 Torx bit, shallow and deep 10mm sockets, a 10mm wrench, a clip removal tool, some panel removal tools, and a set of needle nose pliers.
What's up, folks? Today we're going to be doing some headlights on our Ram, so let's get started.
Alright guys, so we've got our hood open, and the first thing we need to do is remove this upper valance to access our grille mounting hardware. So we're going to grab our clip removal tool and remove all of the push clips holding this upper valance in place. So we'll start on this side and just work our way around. Now, if these have never been taken off before, they're going to be pretty stiff from the factory, so just be careful not to damage them as best you can. And one thing to note, there are two more clips holding the rear of this cover in place, so we'll have to get those as well. And if you're vertically challenged like myself, it'll be a little bit of a reach. There's one on the intake side as well. Now we can pull this off. Set it aside. All right, so now that we have access to our upper grille mounting hardware, there is a push clip on each side directly above our headlights. So we're gonna need to remove both of those with our clip removal tool. And there is 10mm screws along the grille we're gonna need to remove, not these front ones that just holds the outer trim to the inner grille piece itself. So we'll pop these clips out first. There's one on each side. Then we're gonna grab our 10mm socket with a small extension on our impact and begin removing our hardware. Start on this side with our two 10s here. Set our hardware aside. Next, we're gonna also remove these forward 10mm screws up front so we can remove our upper grille trim. Now, once we have these off, be able to pop our upper trim off and set this aside. Next, we're gonna remove these lower outer trim pieces, and we're gonna grab a panel tool, and you can either tape on the sides where your paint and your chrome are, or you can use a rag like so. This is just to prevent any unnecessary scratching or anything like that. Just slide this in here. These are gonna be pretty tight from the factory. Try to keep that rag or your tape behind your panel tool. So it starts to come out, you want to gently pull on that. You may even need to get a second panel tool for some extra leverage. That should pop right out. And that rag kept it nice and unscratched. Definitely use a plastic tool for this as well. That's gonna help you avoid scratching or damaging your panels. Now we'll do the same thing for the other outer trim. Now behind these trim panels on each side is going to be two more 10mm bolts that we need to remove. So we've got our 10mm socket on our impact. We'll pop these off. Then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So now once you have those bolts out of the side, there are 5 more nuts that we need to get to. They are in between your bumper and the lower center portion of your grille. There is a stud and a nut. There's one more recessed here, in the middle, and on the edge. And then there are 2 more. And if you look back in here, you can actually see the studs are a little bit farther down. So you will need a deep and a shallow 10mm socket and a ratchet. Again, we're gonna use this rag just to cover up our chrome so we don't scratch that up. So now one thing to note is for these studs, these are slotted mounting points that have it unbolted, we need to reach back and unplug it. So we'll pop this red safety tab back. We'll push down on our tab. Hopefully our headlight plug comes out. And once we have it unplugged, there's also a clip holding the harness onto the headlight. You're gonna use your clip removal tool one more time. Pop that out. We can remove our headlight. So now that we have our headlight out, we need to remove this front mounting panel that's for our trim. So we have a 10mm screw out here and 2 T15 Torx on the inside. So we've got our 10mm socket. Pop this off. And we'll grab our T15 Torx bit and get these two out. We have that off, we can pop our panel off and set our headlight aside. Now once you have everything done for this headlight, you can do the same thing for the other side.
Alrighty, so before we install our new headlights, we're gonna need to add in our supplied wiring harness. And to start off with that, we're gonna come to our fuse box, which is located right in front of the battery. We're gonna open that up, and that just has these 2 tabs to pop the cover back. Now you should have a fuse puller inside of your fuse box. We're gonna need that. And we're gonna look for fuse number 65, and to make it easy, it is the one 10 amp right next to these 2 30 amps. So we're gonna pop that out. Once we have this out, we can return our fuse puller. It's always good to keep that in. We're gonna come to our supplied fuse tap. It already has one 10 amp fuse in it. We're gonna add this factory 10 amp into the other slot. It's okay if that cover goes down. This may be a little bit tight. Pop that into place like so. And we're gonna put this fuse tap right back in place where that 10 amp came out. Make sure that fully seats. And it does have enough room to go over those 30 amp fuses. And we're gonna route this down and around. Close our fuse box back up. Now, if you want a more flush fit, you could notch out your fuse box lid a little bit for this to kind of sit better. For demonstration purposes, we're not gonna do all that. And once we have that on, we need to connect our positive and negative terminals to our battery. So we'll head over to our battery now. We're gonna start by removing the positive battery terminal cover. We're gonna grab our 10mm socket. We're gonna loosen up the pinch nut on our positive terminal. And once that's loose enough, we'll be able to slide our connector on to the stud. We wanna make sure that's fully seated. Then we'll tighten this back up. Now that we have that on, we'll come over to our negative terminal. Once again, use our 10mm socket, and we'll loosen up our pinch nut for this terminal. Once we have that loose enough, we're gonna have to come into the side of this one. Get that seated onto our stud. We'll tighten that back down. Make sure your terminals are tight. You don't want them loose at all. Place that cover. Now on the other side of that harness, you're gonna have one yellow wire with a single connector plug. Both of your new headlights are gonna have these plugs, but with the length of this wire, it is most convenient to just plug it in on the driver's side of the headlight. So when you get ready to plug in your headlights, which we'll show you, you wanna plug this connector into the driver's side headlight and don't worry about the passenger side. Now you can tuck the rest of this area of the harness down around your fuse box, just to get it out of the way. And you can do this however you'd like. If you wanna secure it up and tuck it or put some loom around it, kind of make it your own, you can do whatever you want. And you will have a shorter side for the driver's side headlight for this single red connector. So you want to drop that down into the headlight area. And then our longer single red connector is going to go over to the passenger side. We're going to route this right around the front of our condenser. So we've got our single wire connector over to the passenger side. Now the main thing about routing this over is to keep it out of the way of any excessively hot or moving parts of your vehicle, because that will damage the wiring and or your vehicle. So as long as it's out of the way of any of that stuff, it's fine. We'll drop this right down into our headlight area so we'll be able to connect that. So these headlights also come with an optional feature to change your DRL and parking lights from white to amber. So we'll show you how to do that now. We're going to need to remove this box, and there will be a connector inside. If it is unplugged, your DRL and other lights are going to be white. If you plug that in and connect the connector, you will have amber DRLs. So we'll show you how that's done now if you choose to do it. So we've got a Phillips head bit on our impact. Now you can also just use a Phillips head screwdriver, and we'll remove the 4 screws for this cover. Cover should fall right out. And inside, this is the connector you are looking for. It is a 2 gray wire connector. Now if you want amber DRLs, you will need to plug this in. If you want white, leave it unplugged. We're going to start ours out with white, but we'll also show you how the amber looks. So once you've done that, you can replace this cover, set it back in place. Screws back in. I like to put one on the opposing corners. We'll use our Phillips head bit yet again. Tighten these back up. Now you are tightening into plastic, so there's no need to overdo it. And once you have this side done, whichever configuration you decide, you can do the same thing for the other headlight. Next, we're gonna need to install that trim panel from our factory headlight onto our new one. I'm gonna set this in place, and we can grab our 2 factory T15 Torx screws, get those on. Now once again, you're tightening into plastic, so snug is good. And we can reinstall our 10mm screw in the inner part and tighten that down with our 10mm socket. And once you have this done for this side, you can do the same thing for your other headlight. All right, so now we're ready to plug our headlights in. Now, as we mentioned before, you're gonna have these yellow single plugs on both headlights. However, you only need to connect this on the driver's side as there's only one wire. It's still gonna communicate with both headlights. So, set this in place, get our main factory connector from our body side onto our headlights. Make sure that snaps in, then you want to lock that safety tab in. Then we're going to take our single red wire connector from our harness and plug that into the white wire on our headlight. Lock that in. Then we can set our headlight in place. So now we can set our headlight in place. Once we have it on, we'll grab that push pin locator first. That back in, push that all the way down. Pop your pin in. Then we'll reinstall this 10mm screw. Now once we have our pin in, we can reinstall our 10mm screw that's closest to it. And then we'll tighten that back down with our 10mm socket. So we've got our 10mm socket on our impact, and we'll tighten this down. Now once you've reached this point, you can repeat this process on the other side. So now once you have both headlights on, it's time to start reassembling our grille. So we're going to start with our main center grille portion. So we'll get that lined up with all of our mounting tabs. Get that set back in place. Make sure that seats back over the dowel mounting points that are also your headlight mounts.
Then we'll begin reinstalling our hardware for this area. So we're gonna start by installing our 3 longer 10mm screws at the bottom side of each part of our grill. So we've got our 10mm socket and our longer screws. We'll get our center one in first to kind of line everything up. We'll get our inner one in. We'll get this outside one in. And we can do the same thing for the other side. So now we can reinstall that 10mm bolt and that clip that was in the bottom of our headlight mount between the bumper and the bottom of the fender. Now, alternatively, as opposed to using a small socket or wrench to get in between the bumper, you can come from the bottom of the bumper with a very long extension and a swivel adapter and a 10mm socket. So we're gonna do that now. I know this is hard to see, but if you're under here, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Once you have that snug, we'll come around and reinstall our tab. Now we can reinstall our push clips that are also in between the bumper and the fender. Now one thing I want to note is these are most likely put in for production purposes and honestly are not 100% necessary to go back in. But if you want to put them back in, we'll show you how to do that now. We're going to use needle nose pliers. We're going to have the insert of our clip fully extended. I'm going to grab onto that. I'm going to fish this back into place. Now again, you really can't see it. Once you have it in its place, you push it back in. You can push your insert back in as well. And once you have it done for this side, you can repeat the same process for the other side. So now we'll reinstall our outer headlight mounting screws. We'll do the same thing for the other side. So now we can reinstall our lower center trim panel. We're gonna line this back up with those nuts that we loosened for our slotted inserts. Pop that back into place on both sides. And we'll reinstall our outer screws before we tighten these back down. Now we'll reinstall our outer 10mm screws, again with our 10mm socket. And do the same thing for the other side. Now we're gonna tighten back down those 5 mounting nuts. So once again, we've got our smaller ratchet with a shallow and a deep 10. So we'll start with the 2 that require the shallow ones. Those are gonna be our middle bolts here. We've got our 2 shallow ones. We'll get our deep ones. We'll start in the center. Then we'll do the same thing for our 2 outer ones. And we'll get our outer ones in. Now once again, you're doing these ones pretty much all by feel. They're basically impossible to actually see. Now to reference these, since again they're very hard to see, these outer ones are going to start right where the taper of your grill starts, so it's about right here. And then the more inner ones that are shallower are going to be right here at about the 3rd points of your grill. And then you have your center one that's going to line up with your center post. So now we can reinstall our outer lower trim. So we're going to line up all of our clips and our locators. And you just want to give that a push, lock that back into place, and we'll do the same thing for the other side. Now we can reinstall our upper trim. So you want to make sure this goes under the tops of your fender, and they have locator tabs on the outside edge. Very gently get these back into place. Once you have that in position, we'll reinstall all of our 10mm bolts for the trim and the grill mounting, and as well as our 2 push clips on the outers. So first we'll install our push clip, outside edge above our headlight. Once we have this one in, we'll do the same thing for the other side. That's going to help locate everything. Now we'll reinstall our 10mm bolts for our trim. So now we'll reinstall these 6 10mm screws that hold our upper grill mount in place. And we have some down low, as well as these. We have 4 in the middle. We can reinstall our upper shroud. You want to make sure these edges go underneath of your fender. I'll show you on this side as well. They sit underneath of that. Then we'll reinstall all of our push clips. And don't forget, you also have 2 on the back side. Now we can get our 2 rear clips in place. Alrighty folks, that about wraps up our review and install of our Alpharex Lux Series LED projector headlights and Alpha Black housings and clear lenses for your 19 to current Ram 2500 with factory halogen headlights. Thanks for watching, and as always, for everything Ram, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.